After going over players that will most likely be moving on for good, I thought I'd take a look at a handful of players that should be moving on from their respective teams. Most have played multiple seasons with their current clubs, and unfortunately, have been on the decline regarding their performance on ice. And with that, here are 5 players whose teams should be giving up on them. Coming in as a rookie, just in time for the start of Pittsburgh's back-to-back cup runs, Murray quickly stole the show between the pipes in the Burgh. With an impressive .937 save percentage and a 1.70 goals against average, while splitting playing time with Marc-Andre Fleury, Murray quickly became the guy Pittsburgh saw leading them forward for seasons to come. But after watching mentor and fellow netminder Fleury being shipped out upon the Vegas entry draft, Murray returned for his first season without him to record mediocre numbers at best. Following the 2017-18 season, Murray finished with a .907 save percentage and his worst goals against average to date, with a 2.92. While some goaltenders have bad seasons every now and again and find their game, Murray, unfortunately, hasn't found his. With the emergence of Tristan Jarry in net last season, the 2-time Stanley Cup champ found himself on the other side looking in, as he was the one then fighting for his starter position last campaign. But for Murray, while sporting his worst save percentage of his entire NHL career with a .899, didn't do much to prove his case last season. The netminder, who was seeking redemption in training camp, was also outplayed by Jarry and yet again replaced by him during the play-in series against Montreal. Regardless, even though he's had his struggles, the 26-year-old as an RFA will be an attractive piece for any team that's looking for a rebuild. Things in Buffalo haven't been the greatest as of late, or for a while now in fact, but for the franchise, who has made some much-needed changes in management, is most likely going to also be making changes when it comes to their roster. One of the most obvious moves to be made is finding a suitor for Kyle Oposo's contract. As a forward who was brought in from Long Island, who once showed promise following multiple 60-point seasons, has been on the decline for a while now. Since becoming a Sabre, number 21 did show some promise early on, after scoring 45 points during his debut season with Buffalo. But unfortunately, it's been only downhill from there statistically. Last season, after 52 games played, the forward was only able to put up 19 points, while making $6 million. For the Sabres, who could use some cap relief, Oposo seems like the perfect candidate to provide a small portion. Well, it's no question that the San Jose Sharks have been struggling immensely. One of the areas that the Sharks have been lacking in for quite some time now is goaltending. As starter Martin Jones, after being a stable force in net for a few seasons in the Bay Area, has been playing at an average level at best for the past 2. Jones, who previously led his team to the 2016 Stanley Cup Finals, has recorded a .896 save percentage for the past couple seasons, and his worst goals against average last campaign with 3 even. Currently in the second year of his 6-year, $34 million contract he signed with the Sharks, Jones is looking more expendable with each passing day. Before Ray Shero was fired by the Devils organization, he had made some big moves in good faith. The most notable trade was the one that gave the Devils previous Norris-winning defenseman PK Subban. Subban was one of the key pieces in Shero's mind at the time that would give his team a much-needed boost offensively, and potentially propel them into the postseason. But unfortunately, after taking on Subban's full salary of $10 million from the get-go, New Jersey hasn't been given much of a return statistically, as Subban, as much of us know, had the worst season of his entire career while with the Devils, after only mustering up 18 points in 68 games played. The defenseman, who did initially have a no-movement clause on his contract, didn't see it honored by Nashville, who decided to overlook the technicality. Therefore, it leaves a potential for Tom Fitzgerald, if he can find a suitor, to move Subban in order to move on from this failed experiment. Oh, come on. You all knew this one was coming, as Johnson has been noted as the worst free agency signing done by Jim Rutherford during his lengthy tenure thus far in the Steel City. After Johnson recorded 11 points in 77 games with Columbus, number 3 was given a fresh start, but with a hefty price tag. Sure, it's not the egregious $10 million that Subban is receiving, but for the production that Johnson has brought this far while being a huge liability on ice, to receive $4 million for it is still pretty puzzling to me. Regardless, Johnson, who had another 11 points last season in 67 games, had none during the qualifying round. Pittsburgh, who is obviously in need of a massive roster makeover, should start with the most obvious move to be made, in Jack Johnson, first and foremost.